Hi everyone, this is Emily, and before we jump into today's crazy story, I want to ask you to do a few things. If you love fun English stories and want to improve your listening skills while laughing, then please subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, like this video, and write a comment below. Your support helps me create even more fun and educational stories for you. Alright, now that we've done that, sit back, relax, and prepare yourself for a story that is absolutely ridiculous, full of chaos, and guaranteed to teach you English expressions and vocabulary in a fun way. By the end of this video, you will have learned new phrases, heard them in context, and laughed at the same time. Are you ready? Let's go. It all started on a quiet Thursday morning. Emily, woke up feeling unusually sleepy. You know that kind of sleepy when your body refuses to leave the comfort of your blanket and your brain whispers, "Stay in bed. It's safe here." Yeah, that's exactly how I felt. I stretched like a lazy cat and glanced at my alarm clock, 7:03 a.m. Plenty of time to get ready for work, or so I thought. I walked to my kitchen, planning to make coffee. As I reached for my favorite mug, I froze. On the counter, standing like a tiny free king, was Mr. Whiskers, my mischievous cat. He had somehow tangled himself in my grocery bag, and a loaf of bread was sticking out like a trophy. He stared at me with those big green eyes, blinking slowly, the universal cat way of saying I own this now. I whispered, "You've gotta be kidding me." Let us pause for a moment to explain that phrase, "You've got to be kidding me," is something we say when we are in disbelief or shocked by what's happening. You can use it anytime you encounter something unbelievable. For example, you finish the project in 1 hour. "You've gotta be kidding me." Anyway, out of the blue, Mr. Whiskers pushed the loaf of bread onto the floor. I tried to stop him, but my attempt was futile. Bread flew across the kitchen, landing near the trash can, while he strutted around like a tiny model of a runway. Cleaning up the mess was challenging. Eggshells from breakfast were scattered, coffee had spilled, crumbs were everywhere. I thought, okay, Emily, today will be peaceful. But peace never comes to those who live with Mr. Whiskers. After cleaning, I opened my window to breathe in fresh air. That's when I heard my neighbor shouting, "Emily, Emily, your cat is on my balcony again." What? I ran to the window. Sure enough, there he was, perched like a tiny lion, staring at her potted plants as if plotting world domination. I shouted, "Get down." Now, he ignored me. Of course he did. My cat never listens. He's an expert at creating chaos while appearing innocent. I ran downstairs to rescue him. My neighbor was waving her arms, frustrated. I said, "I'm so sorry." "He's, ambitious," she stared. "Ambitious, yes. Ambitious and destructive." By the time I brought him home, I was sweating, out of breath, and questioning all my life choices. I placed him on the couch and said, "Okay, that's the last straw. No more escapes. Let us explain that's the last straw. This means that something is the final annoyance you can tolerate before you lose patience. For example, he forgot my birthday for the 5th time. That's the last straw, Mr. Whiskers yawned. Of course he yawned. Like nothing had happened, peaceful. Temporary peace. Later, I got a message from my friend Leo. "Emily, come to the park." You won't believe this. I walked to the park, thinking it would be normal. But of course, it wasn't. There, on a branch of a tree, was Mr. Whiskers, majestic and proud. He had somehow escaped through the window again. A squirrel ran up the tree and slapped him. He screeched like a tiny deer. People were laughing. I wanted to disappear. "Emily," Leo said, "your cat just got bullied by a squirrel." I sighed. I make a fool of myself every day, but this is ridiculous. Let's explain make a fool of myself. This means to embarrass yourself. For example, I tripped in front of everyone at the party. I really made a fool of myself. The cat finally jumped down onto my shoulder. I almost fell. Leo laughed. People stared. I carried him home. At home, I barricaded windows and doors. I even put chairs in front of every escape route. Surely, he wouldn't escape this time. 3 hours later, a knock at the door. My neighbor held Mr. Whiskers, who had eaten her muffins, knocked over a plant, and taken a nap on her laundry. I couldn't believe my eyes again. He blinked innocently at me. By evening, I tried to relax. Tea, candle, couch. And then, thump. From the balcony. There he was again, surveying the neighborhood, planning his next chaotic mission. I whispered, deal with it. You're staying inside tonight. Let us explain deal with it. This means to accept a situation even if it is annoying. For example, the train is late. We'll just have to deal with it. The rest of the evening passed with occasional knocks, thumps, and meows. Emily pauses and addresses the audience. Okay, everyone. Here's your question. What is the funniest or craziest thing your pet, or any animal you know, has ever done? Write your answer in the comments below. I love reading your stories. After surviving the park incident, I finally thought I could relax. I poured myself a cup of tea, sat on the couch, and tried to focus on a book. But Mr. Whiskers had other plans. He decided that today would be the day to test every single fragile object in the apartment. He started with the vase on the side table. As soon as I looked away for 1 second, crash. Shards of glass flew across the floor. I jumped up and shouted, no, not the vase. Let's pause here. Out of the blue means something unexpected. You can use it like this, out of the blue. My friend called me after years of silence. Well, this vase crash was exactly that. Out of the blue, disaster had struck. Then, Mr. Whiskers noticed my laptop on the coffee table. Somehow, he climbed on top of it and walked across the keyboard. On the screen, random letters appeared, core to you up, and nonsense emails started drafting themselves. I swear he was typing with purpose. I tried to pick him up. He jumped away with a leap that could rival any circus performer. I can't believe my eyes, I whispered. And indeed, that phrase, I can't believe my eyes, is perfect when you are extremely surprised. You can use it in your daily life too. I can't believe my eyes. You cooked this meal by yourself. After the laptop chaos, he ran toward the bookshelf. My books toppled like dominoes. He stood proudly in the middle of the mess, like he had just built a masterpiece. I sighed and said, deal with it, Emily. This is your life. Next, I tried to distract him with a toy. He ignored it completely. Instead, he ran toward the kitchen and knocked over the fruit bowl. Apples and bananas rolled across the floor. One banana hit my foot. I yelped. At this point, I realized the expressions make a fool of myself and that as the last straw would be used again very soon. For example, I slipped on a banana peel and fell. People passing by outside my window probably thought a small tornado had hit my apartment. After regaining my composure, I went to close the windows, fearing he might escape again. But Mr. Whiskers had already found a new adventure, the curtain. He climbed it like a tiny free mountaineer. Not the curtains, I shouted. And yes, that phrase not the is very useful. You can say, not the homework. I forgot to do it, not the cookies. They were for the party. By now, my hair was standing on end. I poured another cup of tea and sat, hoping he would settle down. But he had other ideas. He spotted a feather duster and pounced on it, knocking over a lamp. The lampshade fell onto the floor. I took a deep breath. Emily, you can do this. You can handle it. But just as I said that, the phone rang. It was my mom. "Hi, Mom," I answered cheerfully, hoping to sound calm. "Emily, I heard some noise outside." "Is everything okay?" "Oh, yes, everything is perfectly fine," I lied dumber. Whiskers immediately jumped on the phone cord, making static noises and almost pulling the phone off the hook. Mom paused. "Emily, is that your cat?" I sighed. Double quotes, yes. "He's, very lively today." Let's pause here. The word lively means full of energy. You can say, "The children are very lively today. My puppy is lively and loves to run around." After the call, I tried a new strategy. I grabbed a box of treats, thinking he would calm down if I gave him a snack. He ignored them completely. Instead, he jumped onto the dining table and knocked over a glass of water. Water spilled across the table and onto my laptop again. "You've gotta be kidding me," I whispered. That phrase perfectly captures disbelief. By noon, I realized I needed to go outside to run errands. But taking Mr. Whiskers with me was impossible. He had already escaped through the cat flap and was hiding under the sofa, plotting his next attack. I carefully stepped out the door, leaving him behind. On my way to the grocery store, I ran into Leo. "Emily, what happened at your place?" He laughed. "Chaos," I said. "Pure chaos," Leo chuckled. "Did he escape again?" "Yes," I sighed. "And this time he's a genius criminal mastermind." At the store, I bought extra treats, some new toys, and a baby gate, hoping to create some kind of cat-proof zone. But as I returned home, I saw Mr. Whiskers sitting on the roof, staring at the street below. "He's out of control," I muttered. By the afternoon, I was exhausted. I sat on the couch, trying to plan my day, but Mr. Whiskers had other ideas. He had decided that today was not about sleeping or relaxing, it was about creating absolute chaos. He started with the curtains again, climbing them as if he were on a mountain expedition. Then he leaped onto the dining table, knocking over a jar of sugar, which spilled all over my paperwork. "Oh no, not the paperwork," I shouted. Remember, "not there" is a useful expression when you want to show urgency or panic. Example, "not the homework." I forgot to do it, not the coffee. I needed to survive. I tried to distract him with a toy mouse, but he ignored it. Instead, he ran toward the kitchen and jumped into the sink. Water splashed everywhere. I sighed and muttered, "I can't believe my eyes." This is another phrase we use when something is shocking or unbelievable. You can say, "I can't believe my eyes." You painted the whole room by yourself. After cleaning up, I tried to relax with a cup of tea. But just as I sat down, I noticed a strange noise from the balcony. There he was again, Mr. Whiskers, sitting like a tiny ember, staring down at the street as if plotting his next conquest. "Deal with it," I whispered. That means accept a situation, even if it is annoying. Example, "The train is late." "We'll just have to deal with it." Then the phone rang. It was my neighbor, laughing uncontrollably. "Emily, your cat just delivered a package to my balcony," she said. Apparently, he had grabbed a small box from my porch and somehow carried it to hers, I sighed. "Yes, that's my cat." The genius mastermind. By evening, I tried one final strategy. I created a cat-proof zone using chairs, baby gates, and even cardboard boxes. I placed toys, treats, and a comfy blanket inside, hoping he would settle down. For a few minutes, he seemed calm. I poured a cup of tea and sat down, thinking I finally had peace. But then, crush. He had somehow climbed the bookshelf and toppled a stack of books onto the floor. I groaned. "You've gotta be kidding me," I whispered again. Let's pause here to review some expressions we've used today. Out of the blue, unexpectedly, "I can't believe my eyes," Extreme surprise, you've gotta be kidding me. Disbelief, make a fool of myself. Embarrass yourself, that's the last straw. Final annoyance, before losing patience, deal with it. Accept an annoying situation, not the expressing urgency or panic. By the time dinner came, I was completely exhausted. I set my plate on the table and sat down, trying to eat in peace, but Mr. Whiskers had other plans. He jumped onto the table and sniffed my food. No, not the pasta, I shouted. He ignored me and pawed at the plate. Finally, I gave in and offered him a small piece. He sniffed it, then walked away, probably thinking he had won the battle. After dinner, I tried to watch a movie. I curled up on the couch, wrapped in a blanket, hoping for 1 hour of quiet. But Mr. Whiskers climbed onto my lap, stepped on the remote, and changed the channel to a nature documentary. Oh great, lions now, I muttered. He watched intently, tail swishing back and forth. I realized this cat was not just mischievous. He was strategic, curious, and highly entertaining. By 10 p.m., I thought I could finally rest. I set an alarm for tomorrow and went to bed. Whiskers followed, curled up at the foot of the bed, and purred softly. As I drifted off to sleep, I reflected on the day. It was exhausting, chaotic, and completely ridiculous. But it was also full of laughter, lessons, and English phrases learned in context. Okay, everyone, it's your turn. What is the funniest or craziest thing your pet, or any animal you know, has ever done? Share your stories in the comments below. I read all of them, and they always make me laugh. If you enjoyed this story and want more fun English listening content, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and share it with someone who loves crazy stories. Your support helps me create more adventures, more lessons, and more laughter. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next video.